Welcome to the Jesus Conversation podcast, where we discuss what it means to be living with Jesus in us and we in him. Our lives are never lived alone. We are always living with Jesus as us. Join us for another conversation and see how Jesus lives in you.
All right, guys. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Before we hit the record here this morning, we've already been touching on some humorous facts, humorous things that are happening in our lives, and some not so humorous. So lots happening. It's good to have everybody here join us today for another conversation. And we are, as you're watching in the video, we are here with our usual suspects in the conversation. Good friend Arnold. Good morning, Arnold.
Good morning.
And David. David, good to see you again.
Good morning.
And guys, we were touched on a couple things that are happening. I don't want to steal the show so much here, and I don't know if you have anything else, but I've just gone through some experiences with pain, bodily pain, like I've never experienced before. I'm certain that others out there and you guys here with me today have had some measure of experiences with bodily pain and suffering. You can relate to it. This two occurrences of severe kidney stone attacks, or whatever you call them. There's a lot of humor goes into people talking about this, saying, "Oh yeah, okay, now you know what childbirth is like." Oh, I'm going to disagree. My wife and I were talking about it. I said, "Hey, at least in childbirth, it came in waves. This doesn't have waves. This is just full on." Back in March, I went through a session, and they hauled me into ER, and things seemed to pass once they got some medicine going. And they did a CT and claimed I had a kidney stone, yeah, but they couldn't find it, any evidence of it. They sure had one. Well, this had been about a week here now, a little over. I had a second attack, and this time I didn't. I just went in myself to the ER and sat in the waiting room for an hour and a half in just horrible writhing agony.
Yeah.
The triage nurse finally felt so bad for me. She called me into the triage office and said, "I want to get you going here just to help you start putting some IV ports so that when they did finally get a bed and get me in there, they could start some fluids." But even then, when I got in there, finally, they wouldn't give me anything. I said, no, we can't give you anything. We need you a urine sample. I said, "Guys, there's no way you're getting a urine sample. I can't even feel where my bladder is."
Yeah, right.
Anyway, enough of the details. There's some interesting things that occurred to me through that. Because I've been curious about more and more how God carries you through things. And of course, the theme of our podcast and our conversation is learning to grow in Christ, Christ in us, and we in him. So what does it mean to be inside of Jesus when you have something like this, where you're suffering, where there seems to be just excruciating pain or pressure or whatever coming at you? What are some of your what are the ways you react? What are the things that God is showing you? And for me, it was pretty interesting in that the first thing you tend to want to do, in traditional teaching that you grew up with, is, okay, just cry out to God and see if he'll take it away. Look, the God I learned about and grew up with was a God who, if you pleaded hard enough, he's going to answer, and maybe he'll have pity on you and do something for you. He's your uh, he's your escape plan. He's going to come and eventually take you out of it. Here's your relief. Well, that didn't happen. And then I thought, well, maybe I didn't have enough faith, and that, of course, that's silly. And then the idea says, well, I got to hold on long enough, and maybe it'll happen as if I can just show him I'm serious enough. And so that's the kind of thinking that is traditionally there. That's the old programming of my relationship with God and how I interact with him over the years. But nothing happened. I still had to endure and go through the pain, and it taught me something, or at least something insight came to me. What if he had? What if I all of a sudden got this mysterious supernatural relief from pain? What would that tell me about God? Would it just confirm what I always knew about him or expected about him? Uh, would I still learn to grow in him? Would I still have that desire to know more about him? It raises all kinds of interesting perspectives and how you see God and the various contrasts. Because he didn't answer, I found something else that was more assuring. I believe I'm learning to grow into his nature in a deeper way. What I did find is he was there, and just uttering the simple name of Jesus, there's this confirmation deep in my spirit, if I could relate to my spirit over my flesh. And here's the kicker: at no time did I ever feel abandoned. That was, to me, probably the greatest insight. At no point did I ever feel like I was being left or abandoned or put on hold or any other sense of God putting me in the waiting room or whatever. That's a powerful insight. I don't know how you guys think about that or what your impressions are. I know both of you have gone through surgeries you've gone through. I know, Arnold, you've had some really extensive health challenges, surgeries. I remember a couple of years ago, we were praying for you and helping you through some pretty extensive surgeries. I believe hip at that time, complications. You had to experience a lot of pain, and we talked about where was Christ for you. And I think you and I did a special podcast, if I can recall, just talking about your experiences of seeing Jesus. It was pretty powerful. But what are your thoughts, guys? You ever had that opportunity to be thrust against
I come an anchor for me to come back to is Jesus says, "I'll never leave you or forsake you." You know? Like you say, he's there with you. Now, opening your eyes up and your mind to that in the middle of pain, real life pain. It's easy to go into your own head. It just me, what am I going to do? You panic, etc. You're reading the pain, but I believe it actually does, at least for me. It momentarily brings me back to the fact that I'm not alone in this, and that I'll see you through this thing. You know, I'm there for you. I'm there with you. Is better than I'm for you there.
There is so much going through this the way I did. There's so much that I feel I'm beginning to see in a deeper way about God than if, on the other hand, he had simply said, "Oh, okay, here, I love you, so here's what I'm going to do." Now, because he didn't do that, I'm saying, "Okay, Father, what are you? What am I wanting or needing to see more about you in this experience?" I don't think I could learn any other way. In fact, I've read authors say there's no better way to learn about God than in the face of suffering. And I would have rejected that some years ago, probably not even that long ago. Why does God have to put you through suffering to help you learn about him? What advantage is that offer? What benefit is that? Sounds like a mean God. But there really is a difference. There really is something that I think that does open up to you, that is so deep and so beyond just the appearance or the feeling of the flesh and all the circumstances. There's something that runs deep in your spirit that I think we begin to tap into that we've never had the opportunity or need to. One author is, go ahead, Dave.
Well,
Oh,
no, one thing pain does for you, it slows your life down. It gets you focused on that. I mean, the rest of the stuff in your life becomes, not non-important. You're dealing with that one issue.
Yeah.
Um,
You're you're so right. Sometimes we can have a ache in our shoulder or whatever, and we can carry on, right? But
right.
when you've got debilitating, you cannot do anything. That's a whole different world. It shuts off everything else.
But while everything else is shut off, then it is a time, at least it's been a time for me to just say, open my eyes up. Well, it's just me and you. It's us,
Yeah.
together this time.
Yeah. What say, David?
Well, part of the challenge, and you hit on it early on, is what we've been taught about God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you mentioned, yeah, I'm not getting healed because my faith isn't strong enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is a huge, huge way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Or worse yet, what are you continuing to do in your life is preventing God from healing you?
True.
Now, what sort of sins do you have? Are you
Yeah.
hanging on to that
Yep.
are just blocking God from?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I forget what epistle it's in, one of Paul's epistles, but he talks about keeping your focus on God, not on the problems.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and should know where it is because I just read it last week. Um, but you're right. When you're in excruciating pain, that's pretty hard to do, and we don't want to trivialize this, make it think, oh, this is going to be super easy, suffering just on the God. Uh, well, not so easy.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of wonder what Paul was going through or what he was thinking when he was being stoned,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Right.
and not the smoking kind of stone, but with actual rocks.
Mm-hmm. The actual rocks.
You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
uh, so, uh, but at some point, you're right, we need to get this back on Jesus, back on God, and I don't know how to tell people how to do that when they're like suffering through something traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
there was an article in the news. Uh, I think I read it yesterday about a grandmother who killed her 4 grandchildren,
Oh, yeah,
killed
sad.
her daughter and her grandchildren, and
Hmm.
left the husband without a family.
Oh,
Murder
man.
suicide. Okay. Um, Too often as Christians, we trivialize, oh, well, you just need to turn to God,
Hmm.
seek his comfort. Um, Whether it's physical pain, emotional pain, sometimes that pain is going to be so deep, so severe. We're just not going to get angry.
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
And I heard it said once, has big shoulders. Go ahead and get angry.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think sometimes to really understand what God's doing when you're going through this physical or emotional pain, sometimes I think getting angry, screaming, cussing, cursing God, whatever, will help you get to the point to see what he's doing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's, believe it or not, personally, I think God understands.
Which? Say that again, Dave.
I think God understands.
Oh, absolutely.
You're going through some severe emotional or physical pain. You ask God to heal you. It hasn't happened. You get mad. You curse. You swear at him.
Hmm.
I think God's okay with it because he understands.
Absolutely. You, you
He
see,
wants to show you something, but sometimes we have to work through the pain and the anger. Be open be open to what God's trying to show us.
we can certainly see that in some of the Old Testament writers, particularly David, right? If you read through the Psalms, you see plenty of times where David is pretty vocal about his anger and expressing his frustrations, and he's speaking out against God. Why? Give me a break here. Okay, I'm paraphrasing. So yes, this isn't a surprise for God. There's there's such a I don't know. See, it's a very thin wall there for me in seeing the God who I am inside of, and the God who I've grown up with, who I live outside of. All right, and and there's nothing like pain to help you try to find that difference. And like I say, for me, I knew there was no point, and it was futile to say, God, please help me, please take this away. That's not the side that I wanted to go to, because I knew that's part of the old veil. That's part of the old narrative. The God that I
I need,
wanted. Hmm?
I need to step away for a minute.
Okay, go. All right. The God that I want to explore is a God who I am living inside of, and he in me. So that means he's fully cognizant with me of what is happening. He's living part with me. He's experiencing it with me. So what does that tell me about that God that I live inside of? All kinds of questions. Where's, of course, many of them don't have answers. Where's it coming from? Why, God, what is this happening? And God, if you're feeling this, then what are you doing with it? And yet there's something you learn in that space that is so profound. And I believe it helps us learn more of who really God's nature and his heart. It's a place where I really can begin to express who I am in him. It joins me with him in such a deeper way than I've ever experienced before. I don't know if you felt that, Arnold, through some of your experiences.
When I've been troubled in life, whether it's pain or emotional or uncertainty, but just deeply troubled,
Mm-hmm.
It's important to me. It draws me closer to those that are close with me.
Yeah.
Like my family or a close friend.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think that pain that we're talking about here, that it draws us closer to the source of who our life is, of who.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Mm-hmm.
And also, if you could imagine, like maybe your son or your daughter, or an infant being terribly sick or ill or whatever,
Right.
that you as your parent are there with them, doing everything you can to love on them,
Mm-hmm.
be close with them, encouraging, give them the kind of physical and emotional support they need.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I think that's what I see more in Christ, in my Father, when I've been in troubled time.
Mm-hmm.
No, I have to get through my own selfishness of wanting, oh, it's all about me and I hurt and I need to. I'm a victim. I'm being, but even that, Father helps understand that, no, I'm with you there, and that this is the life. This is life, and you're not alone.
See, I agree. You're not alone. God is there. It makes me think of Christ on the cross. In fact, this experience just takes me to, wow, this pain that he had to endure hanging on the cross as he did. And the only reason he cried out, "Why, God, have you abandoned me?" was because he was fully conscious relating to the lie that we as Adamic race had been experiencing, and that lie we call sin, and which is being separated from God. He was expressing, "I know what that feels. Why, God, have you abandoned me?" But at the same time, and here's the amazing thing. At the same time that he's hanging in excruciating life and death, the pain, he has the ability to look out across the crowd and say, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing." How do you do that? And how do you have the wherewithal to think of others and the expression of forgiveness and the heart of God at that moment when, man, all humanly at that point, you're just consumed with trying to get through this. How can you do that, guys? What is it about? Of course, people say, "Well, he's God." He was God in man. Okay, he had the feelings and the expressions of a human, but united with God and in total harmony with the Father. And in that moment of pain, he could say, "Father, forgive them. that's the heart that I want to experience of God. That I could be able, in the midst of pain, to be able to do that. Can't say that I came close to that, but boy, it sure was teaching me that, wow, to get there, to learn the heart of God. And now someone's going to say, you mean I have to go through pain before I hear God's? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it does give an opportunity. It allows us to go deeper with God in this union with Him, to experience something that pain will open up. Maybe something else will do, I don't know why good times and favor and blessing and doesn't help you hear the heart of God. In some ways it can, but I find that oftentimes it gives us a misunderstanding of God. And as I said, if God had answered my prayer, my thoughts about God, well, okay, he does like me. he will have pity on me. I've lost you.
When you look at the
Yeah.
when you look at the healings that Jesus did, the majority of people he healed didn't really heart or continue to follow God.
Mm-hmm.
He just took
Interesting.
the healing and moved on.
Yeah.
Um, when Jesus was at Bill Simon's mother-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
and then all the people started coming to him, uh, and he healed multiple people that evening. The next morning, when the disciples went looking for him, they told him, they said, all these people who need to be healed, they're trying to find you. And he goes, no, go down to the next town. I got to go preach there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're moving on.
And he makes a statement. He said, basically, he came to preach. That was why he came,
Mm-hmm.
to show us the truth. Okay. So to stop and really think about that, physical healing is secondary, knowing who God is.
Yeah, secondary to knowing God. Yeah.
Okay, but we reverse it. Mainstream Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
You really know God. If you're really faithful, He will heal you.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, that's not necessarily true.
No.
So we have to understand, coming to know God and His love is primary. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That is first and foremost.
Yeah.
Without knowing God and His love, then everything else just falls apart.
Sure. And Jesus had to remind people of that, didn't he? When they all came looking for healings, and he said, all you people are looking for is just signs.
Yeah.
And you're really not after knowing who God is. You're just after what the signs and wonders that he cannot provide for you. Unfortunately, Dave, that's the God I grew up with. Here's another thing. And this is so amazing how God works. So as I'm reading an author here the other day, he brings in the subject of James and suffering. And so indirectly, he's quoting here James 1:3, that famous passage. And the passage that is recorded in most Bibles as following: the testing of your faith. Remember, maybe I should read the whole thing. The problems that we're going through are there as and most Bibles recorded as testing. He says, "Account it all joy whenever you should be falling into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith is producing endurance." He made the comment, testing is a word that has thrown us off The word really should be proving, and that's where it's the real meaning of the Greek. Proving. To me, there's a big difference. Testing says, okay, God's, let's see if you can handle this, and it'll show me how faithful or how much you are really a believer. That's the kind of thing I grew up. Why is God doing this to me? Well, he wants me to see if I'm really faithful, if I'm really meaning it, if I'm really going to be obedient. Can you guys relate to that? That's Christian God. Okay, so suffering has the purpose. The purpose is to test you, to see if you really have good faith.
So how is it different in proving?
In proving the proving of your faith, you already have the faith. This proving is allowing this faith to be expressed.
Mm-hmm.
It's the opportunity to put your faith out there in a demonstrable way, and saying, no, this is what's really happening. And made me think, you know what? I already have the faith of Christ. And Galatians 2:20 says, I live by his faith. I don't even have my own faith. So it's nothing, we're not testing me. It's not any of my faith. What's happening here is the faith of Christ is getting an opportunity to prove itself. In other words, to manifest itself, to be expressed and say, yes, God, what you say is true. It's not about me and testing my obedience and my faithfulness. It's the opportunity for God to say, here's what I told you. This is true.
See, I like the word manifest, because that's basically saying, I'm showing you something. I'm opening your eyes up to
Exactly.
the faith that we have.
Yeah. It's like, you have it. Now let it be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Let it work. And
and be seen by you.
Yes. Yeah. I need to, right. It's not only the rest of the world, but it's me just needing to see how the faith of Christ works. Right? This is a whole new adventure, guys. I'm not living on my ability to get through this and gut it out and white knuckle it and whatever. It's the adventure of proving. I say testing, it's proving, yes, what you say is true, God. You are faithful. You are a God I can trust.
It helps me also to, at that moment, realize that I'm smothered with God's love. That's his nature too.
Amen.
The most wonderful parent, or the most understanding and gracious friend you have.
Wow.
You're smothered with love, care, also experiencing the issue, the pain that you're dealing with, or the trouble, whatever the trouble is you're dealing with.
Absolutely. One of the authors I also read recently, and guys, I think I sent this post to you, or a link to this post, is Wayne Jacobsen. He did a post here a month or so ago called "Finding God," or "Finding Him Inside Your Pain," was the title of the post. Do you remember that, or have you seen that? Yeah, I'll link it again to the podcast just so you can follow it. Finding Him Inside Your Pain. He says, our prayers go to God as we ask Him to take away our trouble, anxiety, fear, grief, and pain, instead of recognizing Him inside of those things with us. Recognizing God with us in such moments is how the light comes. How the light comes. Okay. What is this light? Well, I think he's saying there's, as I said before, there's such an awareness, or a deeper view of God, particularly his heart, that we rarely get a chance to grasp if we're simply just asking him, please God, do this, or please take away that. We don't get to really see that light. Right? He goes on and says, don't let God's fixing you become the test of his love. And that's something Arnold was just relating to. We lost him here for a moment. So, Dave, it's you and I, but I think we've commented about how most people equate pain or suffering to some instance in which God may be angry with us, or he's punishing us, or trying to teach us something, which is another way of saying, well, God, how much do you love me? And that's the old question. If God loved me, would this really happen? Would this really be, would I be going through this? You've had those questions, I'm sure.
And I grew up with it.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh man.
it's and it wasn't just a religion I grew up in. It's pretty much all mainstream Christianity
Pretty much.
falls victim to God's punishing you if something bad happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
And see, that's the old perspective, isn't it? Here we are with an external God, and we're always in this tug and pull relationship with him. And even the word relationship is the thing it is a clue right off, is that relationship takes two people.
Yeah.
And we don't have a relationship. We're in union with God. We're in a symbiotic place with him. We share the same body. And this is the mystery that we're growing to understand and learning about. And in this union, we're seeing God in a deeper way than we would ever see him as one out there to be bargained with or pleaded with, or however God is somebody we go to when we have problems and hoping he's going to answer. Well, that's the external God. That's the old narrative. The gospel, especially as we learn from Paul, is the gospel of union, the gospel of symmorphy, sharing same form. Romans 8:29, 28 and 29. So it's not about me and him anymore. It's about us. God, we're in this together. And God, what are you seeing and feeling in this that I need to also experience? And that goes deep, guys. Oftentimes it's very complex about, where is this going, and what is the light that I need to see, and what is God revealing him about himself? Now think of it this way too. If God has experienced this pain, what are his feelings, and what are his thoughts, and what's coming out of his heart in relating to this pain? Have you ever think of it that way?
Well, as he shares the same body with me, he's feeling that pain, that trouble,
right,
that's going on.
How's he responding to it?
But it's also giving us pause to open our eyes to him, too.
Mm-hmm. Sure. You see, this is the deep part of the mystery. Hearing how God responds, feeling how God responds. I know how I respond. I'm angry. I'm saying, hey, I'm just, I want to rip somebody's face off. But the Father in me and I in him, I'm sensing some different responses, some different heart impulses, some different things that are really strange and new.
When I've been in pain, through surgery and extreme pain, it 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 stops everything else in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
as 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 I draw, as I open my eyes to being in Christ, in God, in me, it everything else distraction in my life at that moment is put aside.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'll allow myself to focus on God, and I have many times in the circumstance you're describing,
Yeah.
um, I I think it actually is a opportunity that God gives us to open our eyes to Him,
Mm-hmm.
draw it, and
Mm-hmm.
put
Mm-hmm.
aside the rest of the world, the rest of the issue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're forced to. That's
Yeah, absolutely.
you're angling in pain, you know.
Absolutely. No, no,
And I
yeah.
don't wish pain on anybody. Pain sucks. I mean, come on, you know.
Absolutely here. Yeah,
I
we
would avoid it every place I can if I
at
can.
all
Yeah.
costs, right? Yeah. We're
Yeah.
not glorifying the pain in any way
Yeah.
here. This is not the message, you know.
Yeah.
No, we don't welcome it. But when it comes, it's not something to be how do I say, avoided at all, or um, trying to get out of it necessarily. Yes, we look for comfort. Yes, I was so happy to have medical, some medicine, painkiller. But uh, in the duration, there was something that I was seeing that only pain could show me. Only pain could show me about the Father.
The other thing is, I hope people understand that this life, this broken life, is what brings about the tragedies, the pain, the heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
It is not God punishing us.
Absolutely
We
not.
live in a fallen world. We're going to experience crap. We're going to experience the pain. We're going to experience the heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
It is not God punishing us, but we want to try to find God in the midst of it,
Mm-hmm.
and,
Absolutely.
uh, and understand what He's doing and what He's teaching us.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to break away from the thought that I'm being punished by God.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Being raised a Christian Scientist, if if the I'll try to make this quick because I'm going to have to sign off here pretty quick. Um, Being raised a Christian Scientist, you're told that this life is a lie, it's a dream, it's not really happening. So if you break your arm,
Mm.
you didn't really break your arm, but then they turn around, they say, well, what what sin were you committing to cause you to break your arm? Why is a broken arm a lie, but the sin's true?
Yeah. Yeah.
You,
Oh boy.
I mean, it was uh, when I finally got out of that, and this is why I was so hard on the people who started teaching me about Jesus Christ, because there was so much crap that's Christian Science,
Mm-hmm.
so many contradictions, so many lies,
Right.
that when they started talking to me about Jesus Christ, I wasn't going to go, oh, yeah, okay, I believe it. No,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
had a lot of baggage I was carrying. And
Uh-huh.
so, but that's over 20 years ago. But again, the point is, we're not being punished by God.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a broken world.
Right.
Bad things are going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Dave, don't you think God is in that brokenness? I mean, he's not excluded from it. And see, that's the other thing I think we grew up with. The world's turmoil is one thing. God's over here just looking at it and say, "Well, I'm sorry for your mess." It, I, I've come to see, no, no, no. God is in the mess. It's not, he's not saying, standing back with his arms, well, you guys asked for this, so now, too bad. It's a broken world. Yes, it's a broken world, but God's not excluded from it. In everything I read in the scriptures, and we've talked for years in past, God is involved in every bit of it. Now, the question always comes, well, did he cause it? That's the mystery. There are some scriptures that will tell us God is the author of evil, and some people just bristle at that. Well, it's what scripture says. But the point is, he's not excluded from it. He is intertwined in it. He's involved in every part of it. Jesus telling the storm to, where was God? Was he in that storm? Well, evidently it ceased. I mean, that's a strange analogy, guys, but you think through that. Did God say, "Oh, okay, Jesus, we'll take care of that"? See, no.
Let's sign off, guys.
It's been.
I will see you next week.
Hey, good to see you, Dave. Thanks a lot for being a part of it. Yeah.
We'll see you, David.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care.
So Jacobsen says, instead of trying to pray away whatever tries to overwhelm you, look for him inside of it. That's the best way for him to unravel its power over you and deal with it however he deems best. I love that. Don't try to pray it away. Instead, look for him inside of it and for him to unravel its power over you and deal with it however he deems best. Yeah. God, we're going to go through this.
And by the way, it comes, as I said before, smothered in love.
Yes.
From he loves us so much, his creation. When I stop to realize that, especially in something like we're talking about here, in a unusual, troubled experience, whatever, to realize maybe that's what it does. It draws us to his love, to that he's there in it with us, not
Absolutely.
separated from us, but
Absolutely.
there with us. And Jesus says, "I'm the life." I mean, he's the source of this is life. This is how life has been created for us.
Probably the biggest point, the biggest thing that I've learned, I knew I knew this, but when you start to experience and put those thoughts and those points to test, you really begin to see that in a different way, Arnold. Yeah. And it doesn't take necessarily going through pain. It could be any kind of obstacle or challenge in life. Okay, God, you're here with me. We're doing this together. Greatest point that I'm coming to learn is he's not external from this. He's not off waiting to see how much I can endure, or if he's going to finally say, okay, you've had enough, and here's some relief, and here we're going to change it. No. This is how God works. He takes us through pain. Unfortunately, our theology in the church, and we have to quit here real soon, but the theology that I grew up with is, hold on, brother, God's going to come for you, and you're going to escape all the suffering.
Yeah.
Can you relate to that, Arnold?
Yeah.
It's the old rapture teaching, and bless everyone who wants to hold on to that, and I not necessarily saying to discourage that, but I just want to say I have found God who prefers to not take people out of it, but he takes people through things. And this is what's happening in these last days. God is showing his power to take us through all the life circumstances and completing us and bringing us to that full consummation. What does it do? Brings us to the full maturity in Christ. That's the purpose. So, thanks for letting me vent.
Yeah.
Thanks for bearing with me on this.
Yeah.
And I hope it's caused some others out there who are listening, watching, to think about your experiences. What's happening? Where is God? What are you seeing? Are you seeing him in the pain, in the suffering, in the obstacle? He's there. And each of us are learning to see God in a new and fresh and different way, perhaps. So,
Right. You know, I've lost audio on my end, so it might be a good place to kind of
all right.
put a comment for today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being with me. Appreciate it.
Great.
Have a great week, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you next week. God bless.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. We
All right.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks, Otto. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Right.